Welcome to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, we're going to talk about money and not forgetting fees. Now, this is very interesting. This is a bank rate study that found 38% of U.S. adults feel comfortable talking about their finances with family and close friends. I'm kind of surprised the number's that high. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Kristen, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I love your outfit. Beautiful.
Thank you. Very patriotic.
Yes, and I think I tied in with you beautifully. We didn't even plan this ahead,
I know,
which
right?
is amazing.
And I'm the odd guy out as always. So.
Nope, you got the blue. It
okay,
works.
a little blue
it
action
works.
going on. All right.
Pulls it all together. I'm actually very surprised. 38% of U.S. adults feel comfortable talking about finances with family and close friends. I mean, I'm not in that 38%, I will tell you. Is that a number that's high?
So I think I would be interested to see this survey done 15 to 20 years ago. And I would say that probably that number was lower and it's on the uptick to a higher number.
Why is that?
I just think that it's become, so it used to be so taboo. It was up there with, politics and religion and things that I won't mention on a PG show, right? It was up there with,
Like
with those
what?
things that, we just don't talk about, right? They
Right.
happen, but we don't talk about them. And I think the younger generations coming up, those that are maybe even into their, late 40s, early 50s right now, I think they've become more comfortable with discussing financial matters, especially with their children. That's what we've seen in our office from even the upper 50s, the lower 60-year-olds that we've met with over the years. I feel like they're just kind of starting to change. And I've been in this business for almost 20 years now. And so I've seen that shift over the time that I've been in this career.
Interesting.
But you know what's interesting to me as I listen to people talk is I find that someone who's an investor might talk about their investments with a friend before they talk about them with their spouse.
Interesting.
It's interesting because they know whether or not their friend is on the same wavelength.
Okay.
And many times our spouse is not on the same wavelength with the amount of risk that's being taken.
You gotta get your posse on board with you, right?
You do.
Yeah, I know the mindset of you men.
Yes, we do gotta get our posse on board because, let's face it, we can't win regardless.
Right.
If we win, we lose, and if we lose, we lose. But
Right.
we can't win.
Sadly, that's true, Greg.
That is true.
You're right.
So you got to get people in your corner so you feel like you can win the match, right?
Exactly. But ultimately, that can be detrimental. It really can. And so part of the goal when families come in to visit is to get everybody on the same page.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that everybody agrees 100% on everything, because we do this thing in our office. It's Riskalyze.
Okay.
It's essentially testing someone's appetite for risk.
It's like an eye exam, really.
It really is. I call it the financial eye exam. And because what we're really doing is we're trying to find out somewhere between 1 and 99 how comfortable someone is with risk. So 1 is, I'm scared to death of risk. 99 is, if I lost half, I'd try to figure out how I could buy more. That's just some people's attitude towards risk.
Right.
Well, as we go through this questionnaire, we want to find out, okay, where do you begin to get uncomfortable with risk? And oftentimes in the conference room, where one spouse is comfortable going, another spouse is not. It's kind of like rides at Cedar Point. The rides.
Any amusement park, really.
Yes,
Yeah.
the rides that my our son who's a senior might be comfortable with might not be the rides that she or I are comfortable with. And the same thing is true with spouses. That roller coaster ride of the market, which can be very, very devastating to many, is a thrill to others.
Yeah.
So having this conversation about money, not just how much risk you want to take, but it can go further. What do we want to happen to our money when we're gone?
Absolutely.
How important is it to leave a legacy financially to those we love? To some, it's very, very important. And sometimes one spouse will have that weighing heavily where the other spouse could care less. And so getting on the same page becomes very, very important. How we're going to grow our money, how we're going to create income with our money, how we're going to avoid taxes with our money, how we're going to pay for health care with our money, and how we leave our money behind to the next generation. This is a topic that's so very, very important. And, you know, look, when people come in, it's not up to us to determine what they want to do. It's up to us to glean that information out.
Yes.
Well,
To
Greg,
pull it out.
I was going to
Yes.
say that, you know, a lot of times, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but when I talk to people on the phone or in person, I'll say, you know, it's not up to us to reorganize how your family dynamic is, right?
Correct.
We're not here to change things, especially when it comes to separating money and things of that nature. And sometimes, though, with the conversation, ideas can be had with a different set of eyes on things
Yes.
than if it's just you and your spouse bickering about it. So financial strain, I believe, it used to be one of the top
Yes.
reasons for divorce.
Yes, it's still up there.
And even if you didn't get divorced, it still may be a very big strain on a marriage. And so having a third party come in and say, okay, you know, let's listen to what the goals are of each of you. We want to hear from both of you. We want to hear what's important to you about your money. We want to know what concerns you have, maybe what hurts you have with money in your past, because we all carry some kind of financial baggage. I personally don't like debt. Now, I don't think my parents had a lot of debt, but I also watched that they were very good with their money. And, you know, in my mind, I thought, okay, debt equals problems, so I don't want any debt. So for me, I don't like monthly payments, and there's certain things I don't like. Now, Greg might be a little bit like, oh, no big deal. You know, free money is free money. If we can do whatever, he may think that way, and then he's gotten to the point where he knows, no, it's not worth it for her to have to make that check payment every month, even if it's free debt. I don't want to have that because I don't want to hear her mouth about the payment she has to write a check for, right? So just pay it off and be done with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's different dynamics in a relationship. And I think having another person come in, and if you could be a little bit, I can't think of the word, but just open,
Yes.
a little bit, you know, exposed, I think is the word I'm trying to find, for a few minutes, it's worth it to come to a common ground and agreement and not have that strain throughout your retirement years where you're going to be spending a lot more time together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so worth it because obviously some people right now are retired longer than what they were working.
That's right.
They're retiring younger. So you really have to make that span successful.
Yes, and I'm thinking about a couple that we've been working with for a few years now. They came in, the husband was really the main one that directed the finances. The wife pretty much laid back and let the husband do what he wanted, but now he was retiring and she was starting to get a little scared because his risk score was in the 80s, hers was in the 20s.
Wow. Okay.
It was a wide range between the two. So as we were going through all the goals and all the things they wanted to do, amazing, they just loved their grandchildren, had so many plans for what they're going to do with their grandchildren. It was amazing. So I said, what if we do this? We know you're going to need $50,000 a year. And I looked at him, I said, is it okay if we protect that $50,000 a year so your wife feels comfortable? And I looked at her and I said, if you knew that you had $50,000 a year coming in that you didn't have to worry about, would that help you feel comfortable? She said, absolutely. I said, then once that was accomplished, I looked at her, I said, is it okay if he invests the way that he's comfortable with, knowing that you've got your income protected? She said, absolutely. So there was common ground there.
Absolutely.
He gave in a little bit to give her the income comfort and dependability that she needed. She gave in to say, okay, I trust you to make good decisions with what's left for the growth part and to make sure that we're getting the growth over time that you're really looking for. And so by communicating within the meeting, we were able to find a common ground, even though they were so different in what they were comfortable with. And that's really part of the overall planning process, is to find some common ground and create a real plan.
Greg, what you created was the win-win, and this is Winning Retirement TV. So that was perfect. To our viewers at home, do you want to win in your retirement years? Well, of course you do. How do you do that? You need a plan. This is the perfect time for you to call in. Take advantage of this complimentary consultation, which will result in a beautiful written plan for your retirement years. That number to call is 614-336-7660. If you don't have a pen handy, that's okay. We understand. We've made it even simpler. Just grab your smartphone. Click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Legacy Retirement Group, and you can claim your time accordingly. Remember, for you to have a winning retirement, you need to have a winning plan. You need to have the right advisor. But that's a tease into our next segment. How do you choose the right financial advisor? Do fees play any role in this? Find out when we come back.
I'm sometimes nervous when I don't know exactly what to expect. I find that there's a little hesitation in folks to want to go meet with an advisor. Maybe they're not sure of how they've done compared to others, but it's really our job to just sit down and have a conversation. There's an advisor for almost every street corner here in our city. At Legacy Retirement Group, we believe that if you plan smart, you can retire well. We want you to be successful in any economy. And how do you accomplish that in today's world? Well, we first want to look at the principles by which we're playing. No investment decision should ever be made outside the context of your plan. Then your plan determines your positions and what you hold in retirement. We want you to manage risk. We want you to not be surprised by healthcare costs or inflation or taxes. We don't want those to derail your retirement, and our focus has always been consistency and efficiency. Really trying to maintain what it is that we've spent our lifetime accumulating and now transitioning that into a plan, transitioning that into something that feels secure and gives me peace of mind so that I know I'm not going to outlive my money. It's nice to see that relief in people's faces when you can tell they're confident in their plan.
Greg really gets pleasure out of seeing our client's success.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. The reason I brought up fees as we were going into our next segment, which is now, was because the Legacy team recently received a call from a listener of the radio show that's Winning Retirement on 610 WTVN. They were asking about fees. This caller said that he was calling various advisors in the Columbus area to see who had the lowest fees. Well, it turns out that Legacy fees were not the least expensive, so he's seeking help elsewhere. Is that a good way to find help from an advisor? Should you go fee shopping? Greg and Kristen, your thoughts on that. Should people be fee shopping?
Yeah, and fees can be all over the place, especially depending on what financial tools an investment firm is using, or an advisor is using, or an insurance agent is using, for that matter. So there's different ones. However, what I like to tell people that have asked this question is that you want to look for value. You want to look for what you're paying versus what you're getting,
yes,
right, as your deciding factor. Now, of course, that's not what everyone will do. I had personally our situation with the accounting firm that we work with for our taxes, for Greg and I's personally, and our business taxes. And I was just so frustrated with the value I was getting at the other accountant's office. And he was a great guy. I loved him, worked him for years, but I just felt like I had to ask all the questions for things to get done, right? So when I went and met with this other accountant, the first thing he asked me, which won me over right away, he said, "Now, if I can save you as much or more on taxes as you pay me, would you be willing to do that business deal?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he kept trying to talk, and I said, "No, you don't understand. I get what you're saying. I understand. I'm in. Sign me up, because I want to not have to know what questions to ask,
yes,
in order to get value out of this deal, because I don't know anything about, and I know some things about the area of taxes, but there's certain things that I didn't know, nuances he's taught me over the years now that I wasn't aware of, and I wouldn't have known without someone that was an expert in that area.
It's true.
So it didn't matter to me what I was paying. And so I think when you go into the conversation of meeting with someone that's an expert in any area. You need to understand that you may not always pay the lowest fee to get the best value out of what you're looking for.
It's true, and it goes back to the old adage, you get what you pay for. And we've used that analogy so many times in life. I mean, when you're paying a little bit more for something that's a little bit customized or more personalized, don't you feel that it's worth it, Greg?
Well, it is. And Cynthia, you have to understand there's so many advisors and types of advisors out there. And there's a lot that really, their specialty, if you would, or their focus, I guess is a better word to use, is on people that are getting started up to maybe ages 40, 50 or beyond. But their main focus is helping people accumulate. And by the way, that's a very important focus, to help those that are getting started to be able to, maybe buy some mutual funds and things like that. And mutual funds may not be the most efficient tools, but they're easy tools to get in and use when people are getting started.
Absolutely.
And one of the reasons they may not be the most efficient is because of how they work in tumultuous times, and the fact that the mutual fund manager's hands are tied with what they can actually invest in and how they can manage that piece of the portfolio. So that being said, when you're looking at an advisor, does that advisor know how to do the things you need done? Right. I went to a dermatology appointment not long ago. Kristen saw a little circle on the back of my leg, and she gets really concerned about things, and so she said,
I'm the same with
"You
that.
need to go get that checked out." And I said,
ignored me.
I said, "I'll get it checked out." And so finally I did. I scheduled an appointment with Ohio State Dermatology, and just a fabulous doctor, and went in, and he took a little sample of it and came back, and you have not a very dangerous, but a little skin cancer on the back of your leg. So he's like, I don't do that, but I can tell you the best one in town to do that. And he scheduled for me to go visit that person. They cut a little circle off the back of my leg, got all the cancer off, and but it was a specialty. I went to one place, and that person said, okay, I found your problem, but now I'm not the one to solve the problem. I need to send you over here. And so it's really finding the right, I can tell you, I did not ask what it was going to cost.
Exactly.
No. Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't ask at all.
Peace of mind.
I didn't call around to see, okay, is there a dermatologist in town that'll charge me a cheaper price
As a matter of
to
fact,
fix my cancer?
as a matter of fact, when you came home, I asked you, do you know how much it's going to cost? I need to make sure there's money in the HSA. And you're like, it doesn't matter. And I said, well, you're right. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's worth it for the best.
But if your life's depending on something, and obviously with this type of skin cancer, I didn't feel like my life was depending on it per se, but I did want someone who knew what they were doing that could do a great job, and the cost really didn't come into play. And when it comes to things like knowing you're going to have income that lasts your lifetime, somebody understands the nuances of Social Security and how to create that as part of your overall income plan, how to have an investment strategy that's more consistent, that fits within your proper risk score, how to deal with taxes, how to be efficient with taxes, and someone knows how to navigate that and help you figure out whether or not things like Roth conversions are important, or how to actually structure those in the most efficient way. Healthcare, helping you on that path to healthcare to make sure that you've got things in place that you need. And finally, whatever you leave behind, getting it to those you love as efficiently as possible without a bunch of things slipping through the cracks. You're not going to find the cheapest person in town that knows all those things.
It's true.
You're really not. And just with us, with our investments, we have a chief investment strategist that has over 30 years of experience and well knowledge. And it's not just Greg Taylor and Kristen figuring all this stuff out. And that costs money too.
Absolutely.
So when it's all boils down to it, you want to make sure that you survive and thrive in retirement, and that you're not going to find, well, you know what, I paid a cheap fee. And, a couple came in just recently, and they had just over $800,000 saved, met with Brent, one of our advisors, and they were in this investment group that's known for their very low fees. But guess what? They had an inefficient investment model. They didn't have a plan for income. They had no strategy for taxes. They had no strategy for the health care, and they had estate planning documents that were 25 years old that needed to be updated. So they had so many cracks in their plan. It was cheap, but it wasn't really much of a plan.
Yeah. And you can't have that going into retirement.
You can't.
You need to have specialty and experts. Greg, Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, do you have a proper plan for your retirement years? If you don't, this is the perfect opportunity to call in 614-336-7660. As you can see, a retirement plan is completely personalized. It's customized just for you. This isn't something that you want to do on your own. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind. You deserve to have the customized plan so that you can enjoy everything that you work so hard for and pass it along to those you love effectively. That number to call, 614-336-7660. If you don't have a pen handy, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That's going to take you right to the landing page for Legacy Retirement Group, and you can claim your time accordingly with Greg and Kristen. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but before we go ahead, pull open those drawers. Do you have any unused gift cards? What does this answer tie it into financial planning? You'll see when we return.
They've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. Bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And while we were on that commercial break, did you open up all your drawers? Did you count how many gift cards you have? Well, the reason that we're asking that question is because there is a bank rate study that says 43% of Americans have at least one gift card. So the question is, we're talking all about gift cards, but what else do people forget about when it comes to their retirement planning that you're able to uncover? But first I have to ask, Kristen, do you always use all your gift cards, or do you forget them?
I'm guilty.
So am I.
Are you?
Yes.
I got a system though, because we do. So many people are so gracious and generous and give gift cards for restaurants and
Yes.
things like that. We have friends and people in ministry that give us gift cards. And so what I've learned that I need to do is I have a little pouch in my car. My problem was I would keep it in my purse, and then I would change purses. I don't know if you change purses a lot.
Yes, I do.
Or I would put it in my work tote, and then I didn't have my work tote with me when we were out to dinner, so I didn't have the gift card. So now I keep them in my car.
Smart.
So the only barrier I have with that is if we drove Greg's car, we don't have it. But at least they're there for when my car is.
So that's why I carry this.
What is that?
It's my wallet.
Okay.
This is it. So all I got to do is push the bottom of it, and all the cards come up. I can get through. All I have to
Free
do,
plug
though,
for
Cynthia,
Ridge, yeah.
all I have to do is remember to put my gift cards in it.
Love that. Love that, right?
He's trying to be silly because we're women and we have purses, and how can we not have the gift card? You know?
So I don't have to change out my wallet very
it's
often.
his way of being passive aggressive.
Me?
Yeah.
Not me.
I love it.
So one of the things people have forgotten about, believe it or not,
Yes.
they sometimes forget about old 401ks. We just recently
yes.
had a new family come on board, and after everything was completed, we transferred everything that was going to be transferred, set up their income plan, did everything. She calls the office and says, I am so embarrassed. She said, I totally forgot about the $75,000 401k.
It happens. Actually, that
It
happens
totally
quite a bit.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it does happen.
And I said, yeah.
Yeah, our staff is always amazed, like, how do you forget about $75,000? But, you know, it happens.
You
It
forget.
does.
You get
Over the
busy.
years, you accumulate,
Yeah.
and you've got all this paper
Yes.
and things, and, you know, it's hard.
Stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
That's
Yes.
right. And our youngest son, Jaden, he used to call it his tough.
Oh.
Yeah, because he couldn't quite say stuff. But this little guy, he is so organized, but he's so disorganized. But before we go anywhere, he's got a backpack. He's got another little bag that'll a crossbody, and he has to get everything tucked away and put away just perfectly. And it doesn't matter how much of a hurry we are. He's got to do it. So he's going to get his stuff all together. Well, that's good in many ways, but if you go to his room, you'd say it's total chaos. So who knew? But that's our stuff, and we need to keep track of our stuff. And if you've got an old 401k and you're like, what in the world should I do with that? Have it tested, just to be sure. But sometimes people forget about taxes. Now, we don't really forget about taxes, but we do. And what do I mean by that? It sounds like
We stick our head in the sand because we don't want to think about it, right?
We don't want to think about it.
It's true.
Because, over the years, typically the largest asset families have is their retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, 403b, and so on. And those are all tax deferred. And, Uncle Sam's done a great job of helping us forget about it because, we get this nice deduction when we put it in, and that feels good. Our CPAs don't do us any favors. They say, maximize it so you can save more for later. And we do that, and then it's growing, and we don't owe any tax on this. But then we get to retirement. We say, we probably need some income. We're going to take some income out of that account that we've been saving in. Then we get the shock of our life. We now have to pay tax on Social Security. We have to pay tax on all of our withdrawals and all this, and we've forgotten about that. So helping people remember that, and part of it is just going to our testmyretirement.com, getting a report that kind of shows them and reminds them, this is what the required distributions might be, this is what my tax bill might be that I owe, this is what my heirs might owe in taxes, all these things that we kind of forget about, but are kind of in the back of our mind. We need to be reminded of those things and go and purposefully, look, people can do it from their home, from their living room. They can do it very easily. They don't have to talk to anybody. They just go to testmyretirement.com, check it out, get that information, because that empowers people. Information empowers us to make smart decisions.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, don't forget, testmyretirement.com. Do you know what some of your tax liability could be? If the answer is no, please go to testmyretirement.com, put a little bit of information in, and take a look at the email that's sent to you. You can make some adjustments now. It's completely free. 614-336-7660. Thank you for spending time with us today. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you back here for Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor next week.